Hey guys, alright, it's been a while since I did a video, so here we go. Alright, so this is going to be a Bitcoin USD on a daily chart, so we're just going to basically see where we possibly could head to as far as a correction and our actual price targets. Alright, first, I really want to focus on this area right here. Of course, this is from the 2020 event from March. All right, we had this nice little expansion state right here, and then we had this pullback. If we're using our Fibonacci retracement tool, we can see that we pulled up to here, and we got back around here around our 50% retracement level. So we screened from down here off the lows of 4,000 some change, got all the way up here to about 68,000, pulled back, and we came back down to about 16,382 and some change. All right, and then from here we went on a rally up. Now we're having some similar structural that's similar to over here. All right, so of course this was we had a leg down, impulse, correction. All right, low, high, low, lower low, high low, lower low, high low, and then a final lower low, and then that was it. All right, right now we look like we have what? Had a low, high low, lower low, high low, lower low, high low, and we're looking for potentially another lower low. All right, it could be two more or it could be one more. But the way this is set up, this is looking at. And if you look at these structures here, these are nothing but bear flags that are being played out, right? All right, now let's do this. Let's take the extension tool and just utilize this. Let's take it from here up to the extreme top, and we're gonna take it to there. Oh, sorry about that. And we're gonna bring it here. All right, and you can clearly see, all right, based off this extension, which is this impulse, this is the first target. All right, it was hit, and it went a little lower. We did not come down and visit the second targets. All right. Now, what we want to do, we want to now take from here down to here, and we're going to measure how deep that drop was. Okay, to get that lower low, and that's a 38% drop from there. All right, now let's go over here and let's do the same thing. Impulse here. All right, we hit the first one. All right, we have not hit the second one, but if we're anticipating that a lower low will happen below here, we want to take it and want to see if we could drop 38%. So if we do 38% around here, this is potentially where price could head to, okay, which would be a 46,000 Bitcoin. All right, now, from what I'm anticipating, I think at minimum we'll get to 50,000 for sure. Now, let's do this. Remember we did the Fibonacci, all right? So when we did the Fibonacci, we pulled it from this low here to this high. All right, we're gonna do the same thing. So you see this structural area right here. All right, now I want you to look at this structural area. All right, take a little snapshot. Look at the structure and this dip. Look at this structure and then this dip. It's quite similar, right? Same type of formation. All right, you see this? See this W? I'm sorry. You see this U shape, which some people call this. It's basically an inverted head and shoulders pattern. You got your left shoulder over here. You got your head. You got your right shoulder and pushing up. Same thing over here. You got your left shoulder. You got your head. You got your right shoulder and pushing up. But you can see it right here. Right, it looks very similar. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna pull from here all the way up here, and then we're gonna see what the Fibonacci levels look like based off of that. All right. Now you remember when we were over here, we pulled it came all the way out to around the 50% retracement level. All right. Now we're at the 38. We got the 50. The 50% is sitting right at 49,000, basically 50,000. I am expecting that price will probably get into this area. Now, remember, it can dip a little bit lower. So I think when I did the other extensions like 48, 47 something thousand Bitcoin, yeah, we could get the same here, because when we did the other fibs, and every time I go back and do it, it's not going to be the same because I'm eyeballing it. You know, human eye, it's not going to be 100% accurate, so it's always going to look like this. I said 16,000 some change, but if you really look and just zoom in, all right, you see these little wicks down. All right, now look to your right. It's 15,526 at that low, even though the fib says 16,326. Really, price went as low as here. So when we go back over here and we do that move all over again, we're gonna see where that extension may actually come through for us to give us. All right, so you see at 49, but if we break a little bit below, just like we did here, boom, we can have that. Now, the 61, it's not off the table. All right, Bitcoin can come down to the 61%. Now, when you think of this, when we had this major pullback over here, I don't think there's anything catastrophic that was really happening in the world, so to speak. So you got to factor that in. This can result to a deeper drop because it's similar to not the pattern, but the drop. You know, this 2020, we already know what happened in 2020. But right now, we're dealing with the Iran situation. Housing market is getting a little shaky. Feds, you know, we don't know if we're going to be cutting rates. You know, there's a lot of stuff going on in the world right now where this thing literally could push down, which would be actually great. Here's the thing, guys. You got to understand, if you want momentum, you need a violent pullback. All right? You need a recoil so that it can push to go up higher. Okay? So when you go back and you look at the trajectory of all these pullbacks, it continues to push up. So for instance, if I wanted to, I could take this low over here for December of 2014, all right, and we're going to take it straight up to here, all right, and bring it back down. So this came all the way to December of 2017. If you look at the extension points that's been hit based off of that impulse from back then to the for basically 3 years worth, all right, what do you notice? Extension 1, 2, 3, all have been hit. Okay, so think about that. All right, so extension 1, 2, 3, 4, all 5 extensions have been hit on the Fibonacci extension tool. All right, I want you to see what this looks like. Okay, we're going to do a bar replay. All right. That far. Let's do. All right, let me cancel this back out. All right, now let's do a bar replay back. Start new. All right, so if we were back in time, all right, and I did this extension, and we're in December of 2017, all right, based off of this, I can tell you that based off that impulse, all right, from virtually this, from January 2015, all the way up here to December of 2017, this impulse, I could tell you that, okay, first target, 25,000, 32,000, 52, 72, $84,000. Most people probably like, oh, no, that's not going to hit. So, it doesn't matter. All right, that's the impulse. All right, and we clearly see that all those targets actually hit. Right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to measure our new impulses. All right, let's get there, and I can just go ahead and just speed this up. Just go ahead and leave it alone. All right, now. We got new impulses that are in, all right? This, well, the 2020, all right, you see this impulse, all right? We can measure this one. You also can measure we can measure this one as well too. All right. So this is the low of December of 2018 when we had that major run up before it pulled back the recoil. All right. So now this is going to be the new impulse that we're doing. Okay. And we're going to break it back down. All right. Now, what do you notice? Only targets number 2 and number 3. I'm sorry, number 1 and number 2 have been hit. The third target is still intact, 172,000, and then 237,000 and 277,000, all based off of what? This impulse wave. Just like we did back then for 2015 all the way up to 2017, we're doing the same thing here. Find that impulse, okay, and this will be the extension points. Now, this goes in waves because every time you have an impulse, it creates a new wave. All right, especially as long as the low is not cleared from that impulse. So, for instance, we don't want to see an impulse like this, and then all of a sudden price comes down and just wipes out this low like that. But as long as it's intact, it's still an impulse. So this is also an impulse where we can stack upon what other targets, right? So you can use this, and it's still valid, all right? So based off of this, 155 is literally the next target for that impulse. 193 is the second one. The third one is 303. 413,000 for the fourth target, and then 481,000 for the fifth target. Okay, so some people like to do it based off the most recent ones. All I was showing is going back and show you the other ones that are still. So, for instance, if we went back in time and we started layering on top, you will see that a lot of these targets are all being hit. They're all being hit at different price points. I'm gonna give you an example. Let's do this. Let's do a bar replay. All right, and start new. And we're gonna do. All right, you see this impulse right here? We're just gonna do this impulse. All right. So here to there to there. All right, and these will be our target areas based off of just this impulse, right? So if we hit play, let's see if our targets are hit, which we already know they hit were. Our target 1 and 2 been hit. All right. Three hit. Did I say 3? I meant to say 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 hit. And get close to number 5. It hit. And once again, I'm human, so the way I measure it, I mean, there's a, the way I measure this, I'm pretty sure if I tried to be very, very accurate, 5 hit. So we'll probably go ahead and count. It's all 5 have been hit based off of just that little impulse. Okay. So that's how the Fibonacci extension and retracement tool can really help us. All right. So like I said, I do really feel that we will see Bitcoin probably come on down. Sorry about that. It's come on down to these levels. All right. I think we got the 50% fib level where price will come down. All right. To never count out that the 61%. All right, so all these are valid. And then, the rest of them are. But, for history, if it's going to repeat itself, at least the minimum at 50. And then you got to put an ace in the hole that a 61 could be on the table. All right. We do not know what the future holds. It could be something else that's coming to the market. It could spook everyone. Who knows? But the good thing is that the markets are here. They're intact. They're good. These are healthy. All right. Corrections happen all the time. Don't be alarmed. You may have, if you got enough capital to stay in the market, you can increase your position sizes on some of the altcoins or whatnot, or redistribute back into Bitcoin and build up some solid positions. All right. Remember, Bitcoin is huge on the derivative side. Altcoins are huge on the derivative side as well too. And so there's no more of a one-way directional investment, meaning that you can only make money on it going long. All right, those days are over with. They've been over with. People can make money on Bitcoin going up, down, sideways. It don't matter. So when you have that, that means you have predators all over the charts. Right? They know what they're doing, and they can manipulate this. Okay. All right. But this is not financial advice. All right. This is just my analysis of what I do. All right, hit the like button, subscribe. This is your boy E. White. I am out. Have a great one.